And preparing and live, we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Facebook Live here in this amazing, amazing page of Access Consciousness. I am delighted to not only introduce you to two fabulous ladies, but also to this incredible book, which is, might have seen in the graphic book, Talk to the Animals. Now, both Suzy and Viv that are joining me today have a lot more to speak about in this area. But for me, it was one of the early books. I think it was published, the first published date was 2009. So it's been around a while. And it is such a gem of a book for so many reasons. If you have seen it and picked it up early on, I invite you to take another look. There's incredible body processes and questions and just different perspectives of how to be with animals, but not just animals. And with that, even on the front cover, you have Mr. Gary Douglas with a beautiful horse. And he says, did you know that every animal, every plant, and every structure on this planet has consciousness and desires to give to you? So Suzy Godsey and Viv Adcock, thank you so much for joining me and bringing this book, more out into the world.
Thank you for having us, Sylvia.
Talk to the Animals is coming out of the closet, folks.
So, as I was browsing through the book and invited you both to come and share a little more about the book, there's many sections. And like I said, there's incredible stories about, people working with animals, but there was a couple sections that I thought I would read, and then maybe you both can give us a little more information or your perspective on it. And it's chapter 2, and it says, everything desires to gift to you. It says every animal, every plant, every structure on this planet has consciousness and desires to gift to you. If you are unwilling to receive that, you miss out on what they want to give you. And you also limit your ability to receive in every area of your life. You limit your awareness, you limit the amount of money you can have, you limit what you can experience, and you limit what is possible for you. We like to work with people to get them to the point where they can receive everything that is out there. So just that little opening to this chapter, it's
that little opening.
Little.
I was just gonna say, Sylvia, I think it took me, I've been in Access now, I think almost 20 years. I mean, it's been a while, right? And it at least took me 10 years to actually start receiving. I mean, maybe I'm really slow, but I have to say, I'm still every day, I am still discovering places where I want to first gift rather than receive. The first thing is, oh, let me contribute. And then, oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. Maybe it's also about receiving. Oh yeah, that. And still, so it's unbelievable. Like, and what Gary says there, if you're not willing to receive, you miss out on so much. And especially with the animals, they really do want to give to us, but how often are we willing to receive it? And it's not that, it's really us not wanting to receive it. They want to gift it, or they're gifting it regardless, but we're on the other end going, oh, well, no, let me contribute to you. Anyway, that. So.
What about you, Viv? What is this?
Yeah, they never turn the simultaneity of gifting and receiving off. It's like the trees, it's like the earth. It's never an on-off switch, or they don't decide who they will or won't receive from. A dog may not go to somebody, but it's not that they're not receiving. They're receiving all the time. So, I think receiving is such a huge topic. It's like this big R word. And people get it so mixed up with taking or expecting something or something physical, tangible. And yet with the animal world, it is this invisible, conversation along with the energetic gift of what they desire to be and to be received as. And like Suzy said, what they desire to contribute to our world. Like, how many of you have just, sat and watched birds flying in formation in the sky with wonderment and awe and just curiosity? that simple thing of receiving, that even noticing, the birds singing in the morning. So many people are, charging through their life, and it's like they're devoid of this even perception of even acknowledging that the animal kingdom is right there.
Wow. Yeah, a very different invitation to receive, I get as. So for those of you that don't have the book or have the book, that's chapter 2. And within chapter 3, I'm having fun here. You can
I love your bookmarks, Sylvia.
Thank you. My stained coffee marks and all. In chapter 3, there's another little section. It's actually page 23 for people that may be following. It says the value of being in communication with all things, which here we go. It's almost like a theme. And I didn't really think about this, and I'm just now getting how it's connected. But it says, learning to do these processes and using them on animals puts you in communication with every aspect of life. This increases your communion with everything in your life. Communion is the awareness of all things. It's the willingness to receive everything without judgment. When you're in communion with all things, everything in your life becomes easier. Total communion occurs when you're in the deep woods, where the healing, caring, nurturing, expansiveness, joyfulness, creativity, and orgasmic quality of life are available to you without any judgment. The deep woods embrace you and allow you to be whatever you choose to be in that moment. There is no judgment in the deep forest. There is, however, judgment in the human world. So again, just a little paragraph. And if I could just say one thing there, it's like, this is a Talk to the Animals book, and there's these paragraphs within this book that are inviting us to sway so much more, So I'm grateful, really, rereading this book. It's like this invitation of what I can receive now, different than what I could a long time ago. So what would you both add to that section there?
There's the, when you're talking about communion, Sylvia, again, for anybody that's used the tools of access or desire greater communion or oneness in their world and less fight and polarity and judgment, again, think about sitting in something simple like a dentist's surgery, where there's a fish tank, and the impact that fish tank has. The kids go and look at it, people look at the tank, and it might be something, again, that they wouldn't see in their everyday life, but that, again, the contribution of something that is inviting you to be something different. And I think with people, I've worked with people for 30 odd years, and to introduce the concept of communion, it's like this, I've got to work for it, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. And yet the animal kingdom, it's completely effortless. It is this whisper of invitation that you either perceive the fish in the fish tank or sit and just acknowledge them, or you don't. It's such a simple way to invite you to be in communion. And often when we are really with an animal, leaning on a fence, watching the cows grazing, it's there, it's available. We're already stepping into that space.
And the part of it that I find so interesting is when I first, I've been interested in animals my whole life, but there was always that piece of need in there. I needed to be seen by them, or I needed to be acknowledged by them. And I didn't really know how to be different with that. And I thought it was required. And I was so grateful to find access and be introduced to these tools where all of a sudden the necessity to be liked by an animal is no longer there, and it really changed everything. So, again, this is the talk about communion, and so often we're wondering, like, what is communion? What is it for each and every one of us? And for me, that piece was huge, to really no longer have that requirement to be liked, or that need to be liked by these animals, and to just be with them, and whether they like me or not, it doesn't matter. And then even in that moment, there is a different there's a different way of exchange possible that wasn't there before. Because it's not that every animal likes you or you like every animal. That's not it either. But if you have that need to sort of have a certain connection before you connect, that's insane. But that's what we often think is required. Oh, I need to be on this page with this animal to connect. No, you just have to be willing to be, and then there it is. And that's really it. It's quite simple. We make it often so complicated.
And I'm sure that only applies to animals, right?
I'm sure. I'm
Can
sure
I
the Talk to the Animals classes are just about animals.
Can I just add something to that, Suzy? I mean, I know you've heard me acknowledge this before, but Suzy and I co-facilitated a class here in Australia many years ago, and there were a lot of horses there, and it was a big arena, and the horses, they would just open the gate, and whichever horses wanted to come into the arena and work, they were therapy horses, so they were used to this, but they would open the gate and the horses would come in and pick the person basically that was in the arena. And this one lady came to this class with us. I think it was a conscious horse class, wasn't it, Suzy? Or anyway, this lady was terrified of horses. She was up, I'm talking shaking, crying, paralyzed, couldn't move. And yet she chose to come to this class because she was aware of how much that fear was stopping her in so many areas of her life. And within maybe 40 minutes to an hour, she actually stepped into the arena, which would have been quite intimidating for her. And the biggest Shire horse gently walked over to her and just put his head down. And it still to this day makes me cry. He just put his head down and she just broke down. Everything that was creating this fear, gone. And she started running energy on this horse, and the receiving and the gifting that this horse gave her was just, I will never forget that. It was just absolutely incredible.
Actually, that reminds me of one of my very early experiences. There was a horse at the Lazy Double D Ranch named Felice that still is there. And I had ridden him, and he was just so gentle and easy, right? Like he didn't push me to do anything and I remember getting off the horse and thanking him. So like my hands, I go on his body and it was like, thank you so much. Like, and then I don't know how else to explain it, but there was just this energy that came back towards me and thanked me, like with this level of caring that melted my world. And I was in tears going, what? Like, to actually perceive caring without no hidden agenda, that you don't have to do anything in return. Like it was different than anything else. And I thought, wow, what else is hidden here with animals that is either that I hadn't explored up until that point. And it is this ongoing just opening to way more every time I engage with animals, different than I ever thought was possible as a kid. So
and that's for me where I really acknowledge the magic. It's like we ask for magic, miracles and mysteries, and to me that's the magic.
Yeah,
you can't force that, you can't pretend it, you can't choreograph it. It is raw. And you were willing to receive it too,
yeah, yes, and many other stories since that moment. But here's another chapter now towards the end, chapter 27. This is our last chapter for today. Just a small piece. It's everybody perceives the energy differently. Sometimes in our animal classes, I'll get some information or an answer to a question that is different from what a participant gets. And they've told me that when this occurs, they doubt their ability to perceive energy. When I get an answer that is different from theirs, they might feel their information is incorrect or invalid. It's important to remember that everybody perceives energy differently. They're not going to get information the same way I get it. You're going to get it in the way you get it. The information you get is not wrong. It's just different. When you start to recognize that you won't invalidate yourself. You'll trust the information you get and do what feels right to you. Always follow the energy you perceive. Once you start to do this work, you'll get results and you'll stop doubting yourself. Wow.
Was that really in the book? I'm trying to, did you read from somewhere else, or was that in the, I'm laughing because honestly, like that book was out before I started working with, well, no, that's not true. The book, I had met Gary and Dane before they wrote the book, but it wasn't until way later that I started facilitating the Talk to the Animals classes. And I have to say, this is one of the things I really struggled with when I was in classes with Gary, because that was one of those moments where I would make myself wrong for not perceiving it the way that he was perceiving it. And that's what held me, or I held myself back from facilitating classes because of that, which is so dumb. And you know, and here it is all along in the book. I should have read it. I'm kidding. But anyway, you get it when you get it. You know, it's so interesting. And how often do we do that? How often do we make ourselves wrong for perceiving something that's different? And or we are made wrong for it too a lot of times. You know, I remember many times in my family where I was made wrong for perceptions I was having that were most likely accurate but not comfortable. So, you know, you are made wrong for them. But yeah, so that whole piece is actually, I think this is what we base our entire class on, to be honest, is that everyone perceives energy in a different way. And that's where we start with in the very first class. We really hone in on that topic, and we really try to get this across to people that you will receive energy in your way, and it's going to be different, and that doesn't mean it's wrong, it's just different. And boy, if I'd only given them that paragraph, anyway, it's just funny how you really don't listen, or you really can't see it until you can see it, and that's it, you know, it's just like that.
Anything
And
else?
yeah, when we were writing the manuals for, we've got two classes for, you know, people that want to go on further. The first one is start the conversation. And the very first topic I think Suzy and I got to was, well, how many people won't come to this because they've already concluded they can't talk to animals? And it is this myth, dispelling the myths, you know, of animal communication, because a lot of people have, like Suzy said, questioned, doubted, thought they were making it up. For years, I used to have pretend conversations with our animals, and I'm talking since I was about 4 or 5, you know, and my family would just go, oh, she's off with the fairies, you know, she's just in make-believe land or la la land or whatever. And I bought that for many, many years. So if you have a desire to talk to animals, if you have a desire to reach into their world or wonder what it's like to be them, you've got the ability, you know, if you've got the curiosity, if you've got that question in your world, where are you already communicating that you're not acknowledging? And for me, one of the biggest gifts that I've heard feedback from people who have attended the classes is their own acknowledgement of themselves. And that is, again, a game changer for people when they get to acknowledge that they know. It gives them that foundation to trust themselves and have their back in a way that maybe they haven't before.
Wow. And that is beautiful. And for the people that don't know, both Suzy and Viv are currently the only 2 facilitators of Talk to the Animals classes, but that's about to change. Some different action has been taken, and they have a training coming up. You know, if you have the prerequisites, look it up. It's on the Access Consciousness website. We'll put some links below. And if you're a certified facilitator, you can join and, you know, take these tools and apply them as you're facilitating people. But I'm like, take these tools and apply them to your life. Like, you know, the beautiful gift. So anything else you'd like to say, ladies? I am so grateful you guys took the time to join us.
Great conversation, Sylvia. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for picking those topics, Sue. That was fabulous.
That was consciousness. I kind of said, okay, which one?
I love it.
If I can do a quick plug.
Yes.
Suzy and I are doing a book club beginning on August the 9th, we're doing a 3-day book club between the two of us. So if anybody would like to know information about that, we can pop that in the link below.
You mean
the
you're
video.
going to go deeper into this book?
We're going to go
Okay.
deeper into this book.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Please, yeah, pass on the information and we'll make sure everybody has that so they can choose if they like. Thank you, ladies. Look forward to way
Thank you,
more.
Sylvia.
All right.
Bye, Suzy.
Bye.
Bye, Suzy.
Bye.